Okay, imagine with me if you can, cold sweats, not being able to communicate what you're thinking when you're in this, what they call diabetic ketoacidosis. It's something that diabetics get, and it's one of the most life-threatening symptoms you can get from it. My husband is a diabetic, and I've personally experienced what diabetic ketoacidosis, or they call it DKA, can do to someone. It's scary. He was in the hospital for over a week, and you just it's just all up in the air. You don't know what's going on. So the American Diabetes Association set forth a bunch of guidelines, and these guidelines were made to help patients that do have DKA not have to stay in the hospital as long, and hopefully keep them from getting DKA again. According to the guidelines, the sooner that your fluids are administered through an IV within the first 24 hours of getting DKA, and the faster that they start administering insulin, the better the outcome. The shorter the hospital stay, all of these things become a shorter risk and better for you in the long run. These symptoms can be life-threatening and can come suddenly to anyone with diabetes, so that makes it very scary. So I went ahead and looked at a 2015 study on the evaluation of the treatment of patients with DKA in hospitals. So today we're going to first look at their research and then at what they found in the conclusion. The research looked at 60 patients' medical profiles and checked how soon their fluids were administered and how soon that they also got insulin as well. Sounds simple, right? Like you would think every hospital would be able to do this. I mean, it's not that hard. But the results were shocking. Only 20% of the patients were treated according to the ADA guidelines. That means 80% of patients were treated improperly. They had to stay longer, which cost the patients more money, and they ran a higher risk of getting DKA again, which, like we've established, is severely life-threatening. So the study proved that the ADA guidelines were efficient and were correct, that if you do what they've asked you to do, then you help yourself in the long run, and you help yourself having to stay at the hospital longer. So the study concluded that there are way too many hospitals that do not follow these guidelines, and they need to be investigated, and they need to be held accountable to follow these ADA guidelines. In doing this, everyone that has diabetes doesn't have to have that fear of what happens if I go to a hospital and they're not going to follow this. That could hurt my health. That could hurt a lot of things for me as a person. So I hope in listening to this speech and going over the research, going over the conclusions, you might think to yourself, if you have diabetes, or a loved one like I do, my husband has diabetes, you'll think back to this information you've been given and think, okay, is this hospital following the guidelines? You know what the guidelines are, and you can hold your hospital accountable and make them think twice if they're treating you or your loved one correctly. Thank you.